Am I tripping, or am I the only one that remembers what Wargames is actually supposed to be? Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Wicked Bitter channel. My name is Travis. Thank you for checking out this video. Subscribe to this channel if you like WWE content because I am posting it every single week. I got you. Survivor Series Wargames has come and gone. It was okay. It was an okay pay-per-view. Look, if you enjoyed it, if that was your cup of tea, props. Hats off to you. Happy for you. I'm not saying I hated it. I did enjoy it overall, but I'm not going to lie. The whole thing as a whole was a little underwhelming. And look, I know it's normal for wrestling fans, WWE fans, whoever, to complain about what they watch. I get that. And if you're not one of those people and you enjoyed it, you have no complaints about the show, I'm happy for you. But here at Wicked Bitter, we critique things sometimes. We get pretty critical about things. That's just what we do here. That's part of the fun of being here at this channel. And we got to talk War Games. Obviously, that's the staple of what this show was. There's 2 War Games matches. Sandwiched in between that were 2 normal matches. There was an Intercontinental Championship with John Cena, and then a Women's World Championship match with Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella. Now, I don't know which one you want to dive into first, but we're going to talk about the Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer because I feel like there's going to be less time to talk about it. Here's my recap of that match. Stephanie Vaquer won. That's it. It was fine. Like it wasn't. I don't even know if I want to say it was fine. It was a match. They had a match. Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer for the women's championship. Vaquer won. I love Stephanie Vaquer. I am not a fan of Nikki Bella. Never was. Never have been. Never will be. I guess that could be my own Bret Hart slogan. Never have. Never will be. And I don't know. However I said it, but Nikki Bella. I don't know what the attraction or the appeal is, why she's back. I don't know what we needed. Shout out to that fan who had that sign that said Nikki Bella, the back by unpopular decision or opinion or whatever. That was awesome. That was such a great sign. Whoever that was, if for some reason you are that fan and you're watching this video, hats off to you. That was fantastic. I laughed at that. To me, that was the highlight of the match, other than, of course, the Devil's Kiss that happened on the announce table, which, by the way, was probably the only moment in that match that people went nuts for. Other than that, it was like crickets. John Cena and Dominik Mysterio, I liked this match. It was fun. I was a little surprised when I saw Raquel and Roxanne come out with Dominik because for weeks now, for a long time now, Dominik has had nobody by his side. Nobody has been there to help him. Nobody. So it was weird to see them come out. And then, of course, JD and Finn got involved later on. But like in another video, I had called this. I had said that Liv Morgan was going to return, and everybody kept telling me, no, she's going to be back at Royal Rumble. She's going to be back next year. It's not happening at Survivor Series. There were videos that I were posting where WWE was dropping hints or things in Judgment Day were picking up a little bit. You got to pay attention to the small, subtle clues sometimes, and there were things just pointing in the direction that Liv was coming back. And to me, I thought it was going to come back. She was going to come back before Royal Rumble. I thought she would come back, and I mentioned this, at Survivor Series a little bit before it. It happened at Survivor Series. She showed up. It looked like she turned on Dominik Mysterio when really they were in it together. She kicked John Cena right in the last time is now area. She kicked John Cena, much like the thing that he did to Cody Rhodes, which I thought was kind of a cool little throwback, callback there. And Liv Morgan helped Dominik Mysterio win. So Dominik Mysterio now is the Intercontinental Champion. John Cena heads into his last match, which a lot of people are assuming it's going to be against Gunther. And yeah, that's how we're going to wrap up the greatest of all time's career, putting over 2 people who WWE sees high value in the future of their company. That's just the way things go here in WWE or in wrestling in general. So Dominik Mysterio is the IC champ. I cannot wait to see the division and the divide between the Judgment Day and Dominik and Liv because you know there is one coming. Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez are not going to be cool with one another. They're just not going to be. Liv Morgan is not going to want Roxanne there. I wouldn't even be surprised if she was like, hey, thanks for filling in. You can go now. And then everybody else kind of wants Roxanne to stay. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic. You know how we've always been talking about the dissension and the breakup of the Judgment Day? I feel like we're at that time now, finally. We're all heading towards it now. Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio, I feel like, are going to break away from the Judgment Day. They're going to be the faces. You're going to get Finn and everybody else being the heels of it. I know we all want solo Finn. We want Finn to get a singles push. I think that's going to wait a little bit. I think Finn is going to be the heel in the Judgment Day with the rest of them, while Dominik and Liv are on the outside looking in. And I think we're going to get the baby faces and Dom and Liv. and we're going to get a feud. I think we're going to get Liv and Dom versus Finn and Rox, or JD and Rox, or Finn and Raquel, whatever variation you want to do. I think that's where we're heading, and I think we're going to get Finn versus Dom for the IC Championship. I think that's going to be a cool feud to watch. This has been building for a long time. It's coming. You know it's coming. Now, the War Games matches, I wish I could sit here and tell you that I loved both of them. To be honest with you, I didn't. I don't hate them. I didn't hate them. I thought the matches were fine enough. I don't want to sit here and give off the impression that the whole pay-per-view was trash. Every match was trash. The War Games matches were trash. They weren't. I enjoyed the pay-per-view as a whole, I guess. I mean, it wasn't like my favorite of the year. I think WWE just overhyped it like crazy, and you know what? They should have overhyped it, because honestly, War Games should be a very brutal match to be in. And for the women, it was like one thing I'm going to talk about the men too, don't worry about that, but for the women's match specifically of War Games, everybody was just smiling. Like, everybody that came out, they were all happy. Like, this is War Games. Like, this is supposed to be a brutal match. This is not supposed to be fun. It's War Games. That was my issue, and I have a lot of opinions about the men's one afterwards, but the women's War Games match, I liked everybody in this match, so I had high hopes for it. I thought this was going to be fantastic. Compare it to other War Games matches that we've seen in WWE, right? I'm not comparing it to Blood and Guts. That's a whole separate entity, and that's in AEW. I'm just talking about compare it to the other War Games matches that happened within WWE over the past how many years you want to go back. Whether it's NXT War Games or it was the main roster War Games matches. This, to me, was probably, and I'm saying this for both the men and the women's War Games matches this year, were probably the least... I don't know what the word is. They were the least good or least better, or however you want to say it, compared to the other ones. They were at the very bottom. Like the other War Games matches bested and beat these War Games matches this year, like by a lot. There was destruction in the other ones. There were people bleeding. There were people who look like they've broken their bodies. Bronson Reed jumped off the top of the cell last year and shattered both ankles. Like, there was a lot going on. There were tables in other ones. There was a bunch of weapons. Like, this one this year, for both the men and the women, where it's almost like WWE wanted to play safe. They didn't want to go overboard. They didn't want to do too much. They didn't want to risk injury, which I could understand. But if that's the case, just go do away with the whole War Games match in general. I don't need to see Io coming out here smiling. I don't need to see Charlotte out here high-fiving fans. I don't need to see Rhea and AJ Lee hugging. I don't need to see the cute moment of AJ being lifted up by Rhea to hand the trash can to Io on the top of the cell. The Io trash can spot was great. I mean, it always is. Like, that's a fun, and it's becoming a regular. It's a staple. She's going to do it every time. I liked it. It was fine. But other than that, what was really great? And if we're going to talk about standouts, I have to point it out because I wanted this in another video. I mentioned it. Lash Legend, goddamn. Lash Legend looked great in this match. The forearms she was delivering, the bicycle kick, the powerhouse, the power bombing people. She had Charlotte up against the cage where she power bombed her against it and then slammed her on the mat. Lash looked great. Lash did everything I was hoping she was going to do when she came out. Like, when she first came out, the reaction wasn't there from the crowd. Of course not, because people aren't familiar with her if you don't watch NXT. But I think Lash is going to be a superstar in this company for years to come. I think she's going to ascend quickly. I think she's going to win multiple women's championships. I think she has everything you want in a dominant women's champion. I think she's going to be that. She looked good in this match, and I think, to me, that was like the biggest takeaway. I really wanted to see Lash perform, and she did. She did really well in this match. But overall, the War Games match was fine. AJ Lee makes Becky Lynch tap, which I mentioned in another video. Maybe she pins Becky this time, or AJ's the one that gets the win. It's the second time AJ's wrestled in WWE since coming back. So I would figure that she would factor into this match somehow. And I still believe, even though Maxine Dupree has that IC championship, I still can see AJ Lee versus Becky for that title at some point. I feel like Becky's going to win that title back from Maxine, and then she's going to drop it to AJ Lee or something like that. I just got that feeling. But one thing we know for sure, the feud between AJ and Becky is far from over, and I could see it just continuing on. I have to point it out because it really annoyed me. In the women's War Games match, every single time, it got down to like 20 seconds before somebody came out. It was like the girls were like holding somebody down on the mat or choking somebody in the corner for the full 20 seconds. It was every time. And the camera didn't know where else to go because there's no action. So the camera was just focused on somebody getting choked out in the corner for 20 seconds. Like, can we not think of something else to do when there's 20 seconds left? Did everybody need to do that every time there was 20 seconds before somebody came out? Or can you at least wait until maybe there's 10 seconds left before you start doing that? 20 seconds is a long time during TV time. Trust me, somebody who's worked in the broadcasting field, 20 seconds is a lot of time to soak up. When the cameras are on you, everyone is focused on you. That's a lot of time. In reality, in real life, it's not. But during that, yes. And if I'm sitting at home watching somebody getting choked in the corner for 20 seconds, every single time there's 20 seconds left, I'm sitting there like, can we do something else here? Now, the men's War Games match has its own issues, in my opinion. They did better when it came down to the 20 seconds. They didn't do what the women did. But this match itself, Braun Breaker took a nasty bump. I thought he broke his neck. It did not look good for a while. I'm glad he looks okay. But this match in general, first of all, there were no shark cages for both the women or the men's for some reason. And I think I figured out why. It's probably because it's in an arena and everything was so tight and confined because there were so many people there. They didn't have room to put the shark cages anywhere, which there already gives away the feeling of War Games. That takes away from it. Like that, the shark cages being there is one of the best main parts of War Games. And the other thing that really bothered me in this match, and I know I sound like I'm complaining about so much, but I have to criticize where I think criticism deserves to be at. Like, I mean, if you enjoyed it and you didn't see any problem with it, again, you're entitled to it. I'm happy for you. But for me, watching at home, I just don't like to see stuff like this. There's no shark cages. And then Jey Uso, yeeting, running it back in the middle of a match. I mean, why are we doing this? It's War Games. It's War Games. Do we all not know what War Games is? War Games is supposed to be a brutal match. There's supposed to be bodies everywhere. There's supposed to be weapons. There's supposed to be blood. There's supposed to be hurt going on everywhere. So why am I seeing people dancing, hugging, smiling, playing guitar on a steel chair? Like, why are we doing this? It's War Games. It's War Games. Like, I like everybody in this match. There's not a problem with it. But this, I expected so much more out of this. In another video, I mentioned that this could be one of the best War Games matches, if not the best, we've ever seen. Because look at the people involved. Look who's in this match. There's so many stars in this match. Why are we yeeting and smiling and dancing in the middle of it? I don't get it, dude. Like, that's not War Games. And people were telling me in the comments, well, they needed to take a break. I get that. You can take breaks. You can do that. You can catch your breath in the corner, choke somebody out for 20 seconds. The women just did it. You can do that in other ways. Why are we dancing, smiling in the middle of War Games? This is supposed to be a destruction type of match. It's supposed to be chaos everywhere. I don't want to see people dancing. I don't know. It's just weird to me. Like, maybe the people in attendance loved it, but I'm sure the people at home didn't really care for it. Why are we doing that in the middle of War Games? And this too is another thing. Like the whole thing with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. I'm telling you, these guys have the best job. They can show up last. They can show up late. They can get into the match and only be in there for 5 minutes. And I don't like the whole stare down between the two anymore. I'm over it. Are we still enjoying Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns? Are we still looking at it with the same aura and mystique around it than it's been in the past? I think people are past it now. I think people are over it. You know, last week when Roman Reigns said that title will look good on my shoulder, and we couldn't decide whether it was against Cody or Punk. To me, I'm more interested in Roman Reigns versus Punk than I am Roman Reigns versus Cody. We've seen it too many times. Give me Punk and Roman. Are we going to do Punk? Are we going to do Roman and Brock again? I don't know if I'm down for that match. Like, I don't think anybody really wants to see it anymore. Like, WWE just still continues to feed into these two guys. And they want to build this whole thing around both of them or against one another. And I just don't feel like the magic is there anymore. I think we're all past it at this point. Before we get out of here, let's talk about the mystery man. Jump the cage, scale the cage. Everybody, obviously, I don't think... Look, some people are saying, is it Seth Rollins? I don't think so. I think Seth Rollins is actually hurt. And honestly, Seth Rollins doesn't deliver a super kick the way he did. And the stomp wasn't really the way he did it. And the way he scales things isn't the way he does it. People are throwing out some names. And I'm like, yo, do you really think the most telltale sign is when that mystery man left the ring. When he jumped up and scaled the cage to get out. Who do you think is moving like that? That is a very nimble person. Do you think Chris Jericho is doing that? Because I've seen his name being thrown out there. Chris Jericho is not scaling any cage like that. Ethan Page is not scaling a cage like that. I've seen Trick Williams. I don't think Trick Williams is scaling a cage like that. That is a very quick way. There's only a couple of people that stick out in my mind. There's Austin Theory, which he's been thrown around a lot. A lot of people think it's him. I could see that. The other person, and I think this would be a fun, kind of non-expected type of option, Montez Ford would be cool for this. I don't know if it is him, but if I'm going to pick between Austin Theory and Ford, and I like both of them, I would love to see it be Montez Ford. But part of me believes it's Austin Theory just because there were rumors about him a while back about him joining the Vision, so I could see it being Austin Theory. Plus, he is actually on Raw where Montez is on SmackDown. But I'm going to throw Montez out there just as a fun, interesting option, and I think he'd be great because a lot of people have been waiting for his rise for a little bit now. But I think the safe call here, and I think the more likely call, is probably Austin Theory. I could see Theory scaling that cage like that, and the way he kicked a Punk in the face. Another big thing here, Braun Breaker pinned the World Heavyweight Champion. Braun Breaker pinned CM Punk, the World Heavyweight Champion. We're going to get this match. Breaker versus Punk is going to happen. And you know what? I wouldn't even be mad if that happened at WrestleMania, if we get that at WrestleMania. I don't know if they're going to stretch it out that far, but you do know Braun Breaker is getting a World Heavyweight Championship against CM Punk, and that's going to happen soon. I hope, at least. I hope we don't just waste Breaker pinning the World Heavyweight Champion for him not to get a title match. All right, my friends. Man, I went off there a little bit. Look, I appreciate you checking out this video. Please give it a like if you haven't yet. It does me a big favor. It really does. This channel could use it. We could use the help and all the love and support from anybody here who enjoys wrestling content. I enjoy talking to you guys. I appreciate you checking out the 2 videos I did over the holiday weekend or week. It was something different on this channel that I haven't done before, but I think because of the positive feedback, I might start doing more videos like that. If you enjoy it and you want to see more of it, I could definitely do that. So I appreciate you guys checking out those videos, and if you haven't yet, check out the channel. We got some good stuff here. Please subscribe if you haven't yet and you want WWE content. Until we meet again, my friends, I will see you this week, and as always, remember to stay bitter.